Hi, I'm James, and welcome back to Storytime with James. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. All right, this one is called Messy Marvin. Yes. Man, this was back in the 90s. I was like 25 years old then. So there was this guy named Marvin that I used to work with. Marvin was a cool dude. He was real cool. And we used to at lunch we used to laugh and joke and stuff like that. But man, we 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 used to work at a high school, in Dalton, Illinois. Okay, I was staying in Harvey, Illinois, but I used to drive to Dalton to go to work. Well, we broke up many fights up there and everything, and it was kind of crazy, but we got a good repertoire with the students and stuff like that. So the students were cool, and they would come to me and tell me right before something would happen, like right before they get into a fight. They would tell me this gang is going to fight this gang, and there was no gang banging allowed in there. But it's clearly you knew who was in what gang and everything like that. So if they did, they would tell us, and then I would just go to the other officers and stuff, because I had became a corporal. So my supervisor would come to me about everything. So man, yeah. So well, one day, this little girl that was in there, uh, her name was Shannon. Okay, her name was Shannon. Now we had been trained not to fraternize with the students and stuff like that, male or female. Do not fraternize with the students so that you won't get caught up in nothing. Okay. Well, anyway, Marvin would stand on his post. We would stand in different sections of the school, and as students walked down the hall, especially when the bell rang, when they was out walking, we would stand in the halls and watch them. You know. So Shannon, one day Shannon, she's what you the old folks call a fast tail girl. Man, yeah, she was a fast tail girl. So everybody was wary of it. So when she would come to people, like if she coming to me, I say, "All right, now go on, little girl." She said, "I ain't no little girl." I said, "Go on, little girl. Go on before I get you expelled from the school." And she didn't like me that much. Well, she would talk. She would come past. She'd speak to me and stuff, but that's it. That's it. And she did that with the other officers. But Marvin, for some reason, she would talk to Marvin, talk to him in the halls for like 5 minutes or something like that. So and every now and then I would see Marvin hand her something, and he was giving her quarters and or 50 cent and stuff like that. And they used to always ask us for money. The students used to always ask us for money, but I told them no, I don't have it. I can't do that. Can't do that because we weren't supposed to give them money. So I never gave him nothing, but Marvin would always give her 25 cents, 50 cents, and everything like that. So this kept going on and on. And then Marvin ended up, we see in the summertime, we would be off. So we would usually save our vacation till the summertime. Or you had the option to come to work every now and then to work a couple of hours doing the swim meets or track and field or and stuff like that. So Marvin ended up staying over for the swim thing. So evidently Shannon was in the swimming team, you know. So he watched other stuff, and then this guy, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he ended up writing her a note, writing her a note, writing her a note, saying, could you meet me for pizza after? Okay, meet me for pizza after. I'm bad. I'm paying for everything, you know, and you know, and then he said, I like you, and then signed his name down there. So that was Saturday. So that following Monday, when we came to work, my supervisor call all of us in the office and start talking about fraternizing with people. He said, look, now y'all know he reiterated what we've been trained for. He reiterated that we should not fraternize with people, with students, and don't give students money and stuff like that. So he fraternized with us on that. He talked with us on that, and then he said dismiss. So we were leaving, and he said, "Hey, you, Marvin, stay." So Marvin ended up staying in there. We left out and closed the door, and he talked to Marvin for a minute, and then he called me because I was the corporal. You know, he called me in there. He said, James, escort this gentleman out. Escort him out. And I said, what? And Marvin had tears in his eyes. So as we were walking down the hall, I said, well, what's up, Marvin? What's up, man? He said, man, that girl, man, I swear to God, man, I had wrote her a note and she gave it to the principal. I said, what? What the note say? He said, no, it don't matter. It don't matter. I said, man, you know you're not supposed to do that. He said, I know. I was just trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice. So I escorted him out the building and onto the sidewalk because he wasn't even allowed to be on property, period. They said, don't let him stay on property. So I made him go. I came back in, and then 15 minutes later, her parents came down there, and they wasn't happy. They wasn't happy. No, they wasn't happy at all. And he was banned from ever working at any high school, you know. So I said, man, what is wrong? And then he would call me sometime. He would call down there to speak to me, and I'd get on the phone, and then he'd be saying, look, man, talk to the boss, and I need my job back. I told him, no, you can't get your job back. I'm sorry. Because, man, you violated, you know. You can't get your job back. So apparently he got caught up. But he told me he couldn't get a job. He couldn't get another job, you know. I said, you can't get a job working at the high schools, but you can get a job. And he couldn't get no type of jobs. Apparently, when he tell them about his last job that he left, they don't want to hire him. So he went out and tried to make the money himself, you know, try to sell drugs, you know, and he ended up going to jail. So I'm telling you, man, it's a sad case, you know. I felt so sorry for him, but it was nothing I can do for him. It was nothing I can cover for him, you know. So, well, Marvin got in a mess. Yes. Man, I don't know, man. But after I worked there at the high school there, that's when I moved to Tennessee, to Memphis. This was in Harvey. I stayed in Harvey, Illinois. But once I left the high school, I resigned from the high school, and then I came to Memphis, Tennessee. And then I started working where I'm working today. Yep. All right, you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. And hit that bell notification. Hit that bell notification so that you know every time I drop another video. And share, share, share. Share my videos with your family. Share my videos with your friends. Share my videos with your loved ones. And even share it with your enemies. Okay now. Peace. Adios. Salamat. Hey guys. Don't be a messy Marvin. When you got a job, when you're working with people that you're not supposed to fraternize with, don't fraternize with them. All right.